One day, in the quiet town of Salem, 3 witches were brought back to life by a single candle, and Halloween was never the same again. Hocus Pocus cast a spell on us back in 1993, and now, more than 30 years later, we're taking a look at where the cast is today. Winifred Sanderson, played by the legendary Bette Midler, is the cackling, sharp-tongued leader of the Sanderson sisters in Hocus Pocus 1993. She's dramatic, she's bossy, and she's absolutely unforgettable. In a movie full of magic, chaos, and campy fun, Winnie stands right at the center, commanding the screen with her wild red hair, crooked smile, and that wicked sense of humor. She's not just a villain. She's theatrical, over the top, and secretly kind of lovable in the way only Bette Midler could pull off. At 47, Midler sank her teeth into the role with pure joy. You can tell she was having the time of her life, turning every glare, every screech, and every spell into something instantly iconic. Now in her late 70s, Bette has done it all. Grammy-winning music, unforgettable films, Broadway triumphs. But ask any fan what role they instantly think of, and Winifred Sanderson will almost always be at the top. She turned a Halloween comedy into a timeless cult classic, and in the process made Winnie one of the most beloved bad witches in movie history. For so many, Winifred is more than just a villain. She's a symbol of camp, comedy, and pure Halloween magic. And decades later, she still puts a spell on us. Mary Sanderson, played by Kathy Najimy, is the quirky, loyal middle sister in Hocus Pocus, 1993. Where Winifred is sharp and commanding, Mary is, well, wonderfully weird. With her sideways smile, sing-songy voice, and tendency to sniff out children like a bloodhound, she brought a totally unique energy to the trio. At 36, Kathy leaned all the way into Mary's oddball personality, making her both hilarious and strangely endearing. She wasn't just Winnie's sidekick. She was the sister who added warmth, clumsy charm, and those little moments of comedy that fans still quote today. Since then, Kathy has built a career full of memorable roles. Sister Act, King of the Hill, always bringing that same blend of humor and heart. Now in her 60s, she's still beloved for the way she makes even the silliest characters feel human. Mary Sanderson may not be the brains of the operation, but she's the soul of it. Loyal to a fault, hilariously offbeat, and always ready to back up her sisters. For fans, she's proof that even in the middle of witchy chaos, there's always room for laughter. Sarah Sanderson, played by Sarah Jessica Parker, is the youngest and most mischievous of the Sanderson sisters in Hocus Pocus, 1993. She's flirty, whimsical, and just a little bit ditzy. But that's exactly what makes her unforgettable. With her sing-song voice and childlike curiosity, she added a playful energy that balanced out Winifred's intensity and Mary's quirkiness. At 28, Sarah Jessica Parker stepped into the role with wide-eyed charm, making Sarah both enchanting and hilariously clueless. One moment she's twirling and giggling, the next she's luring children with that hauntingly sweet "Come Little Children" melody, a moment that still gives fans chills decades later. Now 60, Parker has built an incredible career beyond Salem, from stealing scenes in Sex and the City to acclaimed stage work and films. But no matter how glamorous or dramatic her roles have been since, fans always circle back to her playful turn as Sarah Sanderson. She wasn't just the pretty, silly sister. She was the wild card, the one who made you laugh and shiver at the same time. And for so many, Sarah remains the spark of magic that made the Sanderson trio unforgettable. Up next is Thackery Binks, the boy who got turned into a cat and somehow stole all our hearts. Played by Sean Murray in Hocus Pocus, 1993, Binks starts out as a brave teen in 1600 Salem, trying to protect his little sister Emily. But after crossing paths with the Sanderson sisters, he's cursed to live forever as a black cat. And let's be honest, he wasn't just any cat. He was sarcastic, wise, and always a little sassy. But underneath all that, you could feel the pain of someone who carried centuries of loss. He wasn't just helping Max, Dani, and Allison survive the night. He was making sure no one else suffered the way he did. Sean Murray was only 15 when he played human Binks. And even though Jason Marsden voiced the cat version, Murray's presence gave the character real heart. And that goodbye at the end? When Binks finally reunites with Emily? Yeah, still a guaranteed tearjerker. Now 47, Sean Murray is best known for his long-running role as Timothy McGee on NCIS. But for so many fans, no matter how many years go by, he'll always be remembered first as Thackery Binks, the boy who proved that even curses couldn't break the bond of love and family. And then we have Emily Binks, the little sister whose tragic fate sets the whole story of Hocus Pocus, 1993, into motion. Played by Amanda Shepherd, Emily is the sweet, innocent girl lured away by the Sanderson sisters on that fateful morning in Salem. Even though her screen time is short, her presence is huge. She represents everything Thackery is fighting for: the love of family, the innocence lost, and the reason he endures centuries trapped as a cat. Emily's quiet, gentle spirit makes her heartbreaking ending hit even harder. And her reunion with Thackery in the afterlife is one of the most emotional moments in the film. Amanda Shepherd was just 8 years old when she played Emily, but she gave the role a purity and warmth that fans still remember 3 decades later. Now 40, Amanda has mostly stayed out of the Hollywood spotlight, but for Hocus Pocus fans, she'll always be remembered as the little girl who gave the story its heart. Emily Binks may not be in the film for long, but she's unforgettable. The symbol of innocence, love, and the bond between siblings that even the darkest magic couldn't destroy. Up next is Max Dennison, the new kid in Salem, who accidentally lights the black flame candle and unleashes the Sanderson sisters back into the world. Played by Omri Katz in Hocus Pocus, 1993, Max is that classic 90s teen, a little awkward, a little sarcastic, but with a good heart underneath it all. At first, he doesn't believe in all the Hocus Pocus talk, but once things get real, he steps up big time. Whether it's protecting his little sister Dani, teaming up with Allison, or going head-to-head with 3 centuries-old witches, Max grows from the skeptical outsider into the hero of the story. Omri Katz was 17 when he brought Max to life, and he nailed that mix of teenage eye rolls and brave determination. He'd already been known for roles in Erie, Indiana, and Dallas, but Hocus Pocus became his most iconic film role. Now 49, Omri has mostly stepped away from acting, but fans haven't forgotten him. Every Halloween, Max Dennison lives on, whether it's through rewatches of the film or fans quoting his lines about Halloween being just a bunch of hocus pocus. Max is more than just the kid who lit the candle. He's the one who showed that even the most unlikely hero can find the courage to save the day. And then we have Dani Dennison, the fearless little sister who completely steals the show in Hocus Pocus. Played by Thora Birch, Dani is witty, brave, and way tougher than her big brother Max gives her credit for. From her clever comebacks to the way she stands up to the Sanderson sisters without flinching, she's the kind of character every kid watching secretly wished they could be. At just 11 years old, Thora Birch gave Dani so much charm and confidence that she instantly became a fan favorite. She wasn't just comic relief, she was the heart of the story. Her bond with Binks was tender, her sass toward Max was hilarious, and her fierce loyalty to her family made her unforgettable. Thora went on to have a big career after Hocus Pocus, starring in films like American Beauty and Ghost World, where she proved she was one of the most talented young actresses of her generation. Now 43, she's continued acting and even stepped into directing, but for so many fans, Dani Dennison will always be the role that first made her shine. Allison, played by Vanessa Shaw, is the girl we all wish we had as a friend growing up, and maybe even a little bit of a crush. In Hocus Pocus, 1993, she's smart, graceful, and just the right amount of mysterious. She's the one who actually knows Salem's witchy history inside and out, and without her, Max and Dani wouldn't have stood a chance against the Sanderson sisters. At 17, Vanessa brought Allison to life with a mix of confidence and warmth. She wasn't the perfect girl stereotype. She was clever, brave, and always willing to jump in and help. Whether she was schooling Max on the black flame candle or tricking the witches with a clever daylight ruse, Allison proved herself to be every bit as heroic as the rest of the team. After Hocus Pocus, Vanessa Shaw built an impressive career, with roles in Eyes Wide Shut, The Hills Have Eyes, and Ray Donovan. Now 48, she's still acting and has earned respect as a versatile performer who can take on everything from horror to drama. But for fans, Allison will always be remembered as the Salem girl with the perfect Halloween style, the brains to match the bravery, and the heart that helped turn a wild night of magic and mayhem into a true classic. Up next is Jay, played by Tobias Jelinek, the leather jacket-wearing wannabe tough guy who spends most of Hocus Pocus, 1993, causing trouble with his buddy Ice. He's the classic 90s bully, loud, cocky, and always ready with a snarky comment, especially at Max's expense. But what makes Jay so memorable is how over-the-top he is. From his dramatic laugh to his goofy one-liners, he's less scary and more hilarious. A bully you can't help but laugh at. And let's be real. Seeing him and Ice end up trapped in cages by the Sanderson sisters is one of the most satisfying moments in the whole movie. Tobias Jelinek was just 16 when he played Jay, one of his very first roles, and he made the character stick in fans' minds for decades. Since then, Tobias has popped up in shows like Stranger Things, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Arrow, carving out a steady acting career. Now 48, he's far from the goofy teen bully we met back in Salem, but for Hocus Pocus fans, he'll always be remembered as Jay, the punk with the bad attitude, the unforgettable hair, and a place in one of Halloween's most beloved cult classics. And finally, we have Ernie, though don't call him that. He's Ice, the other half of Salem's wannabe tough guy duo in Hocus Pocus, 1993. Played by Larry Bagby, Ice is unforgettable for one reason in particular, that giant ice shaved into the back of his head. Iconic. He's Jay's sidekick, always ready to back him up with a smirk or a laugh, but just like his buddy, he's more goofy than threatening. Their bullying of Max might have been mean-spirited, but watching the two of them bumble around and eventually end up locked in cages by the Sanderson sisters was comedy gold. Larry Bagby was 19 when he stepped into Ice's shoes, and he brought the perfect mix of swagger and silliness. After Hocus Pocus, Larry kept working in film and TV, showing up in projects like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Walk the Line, and even building a music career as a country singer. Now 51, he's long outgrown the Ice haircut, but fans will never forget him as the kid who thought he was the coolest in Salem and ended up a cult favorite instead. And so, the black flame candle burned out, the witches were defeated, and Salem went quiet once more. But the magic of Hocus Pocus never truly faded. Decades later, the cast still lives on in our hearts, reminding us that some stories, just like some spells, last forever.